start it up. And here we are, Primitive Substance, Joe Bowie, and thank you for coming on all the way from the Netherlands. Fantastic jazz trombonist, vocalist, Defunkt, and thank you for doing this.
Hey, it's great to be here, and thank you.
Sure.
And,
so
looking forward. I hope I can remember all your answers.
No, that's okay. So let's just talk about your early days of jazz with your brothers, and how you got interested in jazz music and music in general.
Well, I try to do it briefly. I should have gave you the website. You could have found
That's
out.
That's okay. We'll find out later.
Because you got an old man trying
That's all right. I'm not young either, so.
But look here, I started with the Black Artist Group of St. Louis. I started as a teenager. I was playing R&B. I was in high school doing all the proms. But by the time I was 15 years old, I connected with Hamid Blewett and Oliver Lake and the Black Artist Group, because I'm from St. Louis. I'm from St. Louis originally. And that was, and I'll just jump ahead. By the time I was 19, I went to Paris with the Black Artist Group. Oliver Lake offered me the chance to go to Paris with the band, and I did that, and that was a great experience for me for 2 years or so before myself and Bobo Shaw, the drummer, went to New York, went back to New York from Paris. And then we worked with the Human Arts Ensemble. I mean, I played a lot of free jazz, and the music. The Black Artist Group was connected with the AACM in Chicago. So my background was mostly avant-garde and free jazz plus rhythm and blues.
Okay.
I did them both. So that's how Defunkt came together, because I wanted to. The idea with Defunkt was to merge pop music with avant-garde and creative music. That was the idea, with the high energy with the creativity. And that was my idea. So anyway, we went to New York, me and Bobo, and that's where everything really got started. In New York, I played with everybody from Stanley Cowell and Sam Rivers Orchestra.
Wow.
We had a spot on East 3rd Street, right next to Slugs, where Slugs used to be. And that was a great hub for music during our time there. I mean,
I know. I lived it. I was part of that. And I always saw your name listed with all the clubs when we were playing, and you guys were headlining somewhere like those big clubs.
Yeah, well, back in those days, man, we made a living just playing in Manhattan.
That's it. Right. Yeah, we never made any money with the record label we had. We made the money playing.
Well, that was what the money was, the live gigs, and quiet is still the way it is.
Oh, yeah. And we usually got paid in cash. Some of the clubs would be like, some would be mafia owned, and they'd give you the money and say, get the hell out of here. We did that one time, and I think it was in Staten Island. So, yeah.
But I played for cash. That's the way we used to do it in the Peppermint Lounge in Manhattan. We used to play for cash, and but that was the old days. We got paid after the show.
Now, what was it like playing with James Chance and the?
That was a great. You see, when I got to New York, and I had been playing with the Human Arts Ensemble, which we were also playing some kind of combination of pop music and jazz.
Right.
And it was all developing into then the St. Louis Creative Ensemble with Luther Thomas and Charles Bobo Shaw. We traveled around Europe a little while and around New York, playing the Public Theater. Back in those days, I'm going to miss a lot of things, but hey.
That's okay, no problem.
And then Defunkt, I met James, and because James was a good friend of myself and Bobo, and with the Lower East Side. We were down on the Lower East Side on East 3rd Street. And there was a scene down on the Lower East Side. I mean,
it was.
A lot of musicians, a lot of places like Sam Rivers joined the Tin Palace, what is it?
A's. Did you play Club 57?
Club? I don't know. But
that was one of them. We played at, but yeah, keep going. So where else did you play?
So then with James wanted some horn players, so of course he asked me. And myself and my brother played with James, and eventually James, I started bringing other musicians to James, bass player, and well, anyway, that gave me the idea playing with James. We used to play Max's Kansas City, Hurrahs, all the main joints. But then that gave me the idea. I said, well, listen, I can do this. Let me create a band and work these same places.
Right.
Because James had the same concept. That's why I love James. The concept was like, he was like an Ornette Coleman playing over James Brown rhythm section.
Yes, he was.
Right. And so we had I was good friends with James and his manager who passed, Anya Phillips.
Right.
And we played, and then I started Defunkt, and then James said, well, I started opening for James at the clubs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, like Hurrahs or and then eventually Defunkt started, standing on their own, and we started playing. I got a little record deal with Joe Boyd and Ivan Records.
Oh, really? Okay.
Hannibal was the actual label, but Island sort of franchised the deal. So to make it, I guess, international.
Okay.
And Defunkt, I mean, we played every damn club in New York. I mean, from Max's Kansas City to the Purple Barge. And I mean, everywhere. I mean, I played McHale's Uptown. I played Peppermint Lounge at both locations. It was Peppermint was on like 40, I think it was 44th Street at first. And then they moved downtown to like 1st Street and Avenue C or something. They had the new Peppermint. And
you had a good following too. And the clubs were so like exciting those days. You didn't have the internet, you didn't have people on their phones. It was just pure music. People are out there to dance.
They want to dance and hang out and look different. I mean, I don't know if you saw the film Downtown 81.
Yep.
That's a good example. We were playing with James at the Peppermint Lounge.
Oh, wow. That's that.
And if you see the array of people, Basquiat was there. I mean, it was like Star Wars.
Right. Yeah, everybody dressed up. And
everybody dressed, and that was a great period. I mean,
oh yeah, and those clubs were late too. I mean, well, we had a couple of times we played at 1 o'clock in the morning, 2 o'clock in the morning.
That's right.
To a packed house.
Because people didn't come out to 12. A lot of people didn't leave the house to 12 o'clock.
Right.
And so it was great fun, man.
Oh yeah, you guys were really good. And because I saw your name listed all the time when we were playing a show, you guys, and then with the Village Voice too used to cover a lot of the shows.
Village Voice, matter of fact, and the Soho Weekly News.
Right, that's it.
Because that's where it was a writer for the Soho named Alan Platt, who actually gave the name Defunkt.
Oh, he did.
He thought that was I thought it was nice because it was Defunkt with a T at the end.
That's interesting.
But that was Alan Platt's suggestion.
Oh, I didn't know that. Everybody out there, now everybody knows.
That's right.
We had Robert Christgau for the voice. He never liked us.
I know Christgau, right.
He never liked us. He always said, oh, these guys are playing, but we never got a good review from him. I don't know why. Maybe
sometimes I think some of these writers, the bad review is what makes them famous.
That's right. Exactly right. He seemed like into the rock and roll stuff like The Dead and, that kind of stuff.
I can't remember any good reviews I got from Christgau,
but that's the way it was.
That's the way it was. And it was okay because we were all geeked up on drugs anyway.
Oh, yeah. Oh, there was a lot of cocaine going around that era. Oh, my gosh.
Oh man,
mountains of coke. Oh boy,
coke, heroin. I mean, I was more on the heroin side.
Oh, okay.
But both.
Wow.
We did everything. We just did all the drugs we could find, and that was we were young people. And,
right. So then, when did you move to the Netherlands? Is that back then?
Let me just. I don't want to leave New York yet.
Sure, keep going. No, we want to hear more. So keep going.
So where was I? This was the end of James, and Defunkt was starting to get a reputation, and then we started traveling Europe.
Okay.
Maybe 2 or 3 times a year, making tours of Europe with Defunkt. We had the first record deal with Hannibal. We had a record out, and later Enemy Records picked it up, and then so I had a great European following. Germany, yes. Austria, Switzerland, and Holland also. So traveling through Europe, I met my wife in Holland.
Oh, okay.
Right, and that was about 1993 or so.
Okay.
And then we got going back and forth. She'd come to the States for a while. I would always see her when I came to Europe, because I traveled Europe at least two times a year.
Right.
Substantial tours in Europe. And so in 2003, I was on a Defunkt tour, and I got to Holland. I said, listen, I told my girl, I said, well, I'm not going back to the States. I mean, this was about the time Ronald Reagan was president. I started seeing the whole downhill shift away from culture.
Right.
In the States, even though we were both involved in the last Renaissance. New York, this was the last musical Renaissance, not only in funk and rock, in free jazz and jazz movement. It's all going on the Lower East Side.
That's right.
And then and in the New York area. Right.
Well, the big minimalist scene was also in the West Village. You had Philip Glass, Reese Chatham, Terry Riley. So you had that going on.
And I mean, this was all, what's the great artist name at this? Because we used to hang out at the Chelsea Hotel.
Do you remember Giorgio Gamelski? Do you know
him? What happened to Giorgio?
He was a character. What a character.
Yes. I remember him. Right.
We met him, and all he kept talking about was the Rolling Stones and Gong and Pink Floyd. What a character.
No, Giorgio, I hadn't heard that name in years.
Yeah, he passed away recently, I think a few years ago. But I didn't know if you knew that name. So,
I knew the name Giorgio. I remember running into him in New York.
Oh, he was something. He was a piece. He was funny. So you had a big band too, didn't you? Defunkt. Didn't you have a big band? Bigger band?
No. Well, I did. I did the New York Defunkt big band at the Knitting Factory. This is 98 or 98 or 99. That's what we started formulating a Defunkt big band. My brother Byron, saxophone player, did the arrangements, the first 9 arrangements. So I carried that whole thing to Europe too, because now I do the big band thing here in Europe now. I recently did Helsinki Jazz Orchestra, the Zurich Jazz Orchestra, with playing the funk, the music of Defunkt in big band arrangements. And that just gave me something else to stand on.
Right.
If I wasn't touring with the smaller group, I had the big, especially now. These are things I was thinking about when I was younger for my old age.
Right.
Some kind of grooves. I mean, not only the big band, but I also started doing workshops. Djembe workshops and workshops of self-esteem. For all young people, and I still do that, because these were the things I formulated early in the Defunkt career. I said, what am I going to do when I'm 60? And now I'm 70. But you see, that's why I formulated that. Not only I wanted to stay in music, but I realized one day I couldn't be doing these one-nighters.
Right.
And a lot of people have options. Some people, taught in the schools, they're teachers or whatever. You need the options. And matter of fact, as we speak about that, I even taught. I went through a cancer episode.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
2 times. 2004, I had prostate cancer. Okay.
Oh boy. That
returned, and then in 2019, I had colon cancer.
Oh boy. Huh.
That was but that's what happens with age. But anyway, I'm still reeling from that, but I'm about cured. I'm about say 85% back from that. But that was, it wasn't so much the disease, it was the treatment.
Oh, yeah, I could imagine.
It fucked me up, that chemotherapy.
Oh, yeah, that's bad.
A lot of radiation. I took
poison.
4 months.
A lot of poison in your body.
A lot of poison. It takes a long time to bounce back from that.
Now, you mentioned one-night stands. I got to tell you a really funny story. We had a one-night stand in Bologna, Italy.
Bologna, I know Bologna.
In 1983, it was a outdoor festival, and they couldn't book us another gig. So it was great being stuck in Italy, but I remember you guys were playing over there too at the time, and we were hoping maybe to sync up with your band, but nothing ever happened. But we had a lot of one-night stands to Europe and back. It was just really strange.
But you know how it is, it was mostly the handlers, the people who handle, that's where the problems come in.
Yeah.
For bands, the people, your management, agents, and management. To find a good one might take a lifetime.
You're right. You're right. It's not easy. So you had good management? You've had
I mean, I guess it was good enough, but I've had so many managers and tour agents, tour managers in Europe. Right. You go from one to the next, and like, you know, I never broke the real, I don't know what to say break, but the big pop audience. That was always my dream, to bring this new kind of fusion of music into the big population. But hey, I got a good following. I don't, no complaints.
Hey, you know, the 80s people, the people under 25, they still love this 80s music. Right. You know, because it was natural. Everybody was playing. It had a certain sound.
Had energy.
Energy, right. And especially the Lower East Side bands. You, Conk, us, Liquid, ESG from the South Bronx. So there was a real scene happening that was going on.
And New York was great because, I mean, I remember I used to play with Latin bands up in the Bronx. I mean, that whole combination, which gave me more ideas to infuse to the music.
And then hip hop came along.
Hip hop
rap, from all that whole scene there in New York that developed there.
And I even did some rap and hip hop with Defunkt back in the 80s.
Right.
But very little of it is heard because, like, I go back to management and record companies, and distribution. So, anyway, so I realized that I was better off living in Europe, where my audience was. You dig? And
that's good. So you've put out a lot of records, like what, 15 albums or so?
Well, I mean, I got with maybe about 26 with the ones I've done, big band albums, which I produced myself and I put up digitally.
Right.
I maybe 26, almost 30 titles.
Wow.
But I've got also a lot of jazz records I did with different artists, with Bag, with Lester Bowie, with Frank Lowe, and we were all on the Lower East Side at that time.
Yeah, isn't that something? Didn't even have to travel far, right? Right there.
We're right there. We could rehearse at our theater on East 3rd Street. I mean, the theater was so live. We had not only funk, we had Woody Shaw would be down there, Will Beware.
Wow.
The Arts Ensemble, when they came to New York, they stayed in the theater. Original. And so, listen, this was like I call it, the last Renaissance period.
Right. I agree.
Of America was going on right in New York City.
Right.
Before they kind of broke it up, you know, you had to have money to live in Manhattan.
Right. Well, that's it. That was we lived a great period there. And
it was a great period.
And it's been documented, and the music and it's just, we were very lucky to be alive and playing at that time.
Right.
It's very hard now for bands to really make it in this music business.
No, and I even I talk to a lot of young musicians, because I still play as a guest with bands, and I still play defunct songs. And I don't do so many, but I do, you know, a few gigs every month or so, and with bands that I can really. But like I said, it's nothing like the energy. It's hard to convey the energy that we came from.
Right.
In the city.
That's
and
right.
Like you talk about those nights at those clubs, I mean, it was like, it was on fire.
It was. You're right. That's the perfect word for it. And, you know, we would do a sound check at 7 o'clock, nobody there. We'd have to go back to somebody's house, hang out. We get there at midnight. It was like, holy smoke. This is like jam-packed. We could barely get to the stage. Barely get to the backstage at those days. It was.
But that was great because people went out. They wanted to hear me. They wanted to see it. They wanted to hear it. But see, now with the internet, a lot of kids don't even go listen to live music. No, you're right. They look at the phone, you know.
At 5 minutes, that's it. What's the next song? Or 2 minutes?
What's next? Right. Yeah. I like this song. I don't want the rest of the album. But
have you had much luck with Bandcamp at all? Have you sold any?
I've got a few songs on Bandcamp with basically songs I did with Adam Rudolph, the percussionist.
Okay.
I did a duet with him, and it's on Bandcamp. But I never make any money from
Me neither. I've got a lot of releases up there, and maybe once in a while somebody will buy something, but it's kind of a bust for me. I don't know.
It's a bummer, like I said, to me, and a lot of these streaming services, and what I use now is DistroKid.
Oh yeah, I know them. Right, I've used them. Any luck with that?
I got about 25 releases on that, and I make more money than I do with Bandcamp. I mean, but I got a lot of releases worldwide. So, but it's still a couple $100 every few months.
Yeah,
that's basically what it is. It's chump change. But,
right. But you know, the people are still looking for you. And then this is the reason why I started this podcast channel, to get you know, artists like yourself out there, their story, and I've been able to get some really, like yourself, great musicians that I really want to have be heard. So maybe someday they'll find this interview and say, man, Joe was quite a musician. What a band. So
but, you know, hey, that's great. And like that's all we can do is try to leave a history behind, and
that's it.
A link to the history for the young. Because I do meet young people when I do these little gigs. And they're crazy about this music.
They are. I'm sure.
And they're curious. They want to know, wow, where did this come from?
Exactly. That's the same thing when we did these reunion shows in 2003, 2009. People were like really ecstatic that we were playing again. It didn't last long, but that sound or that whole era of people doing that music was just, I think it was about the rhythm and beat back then. It was just this energy, fire, you said.
It makes you want to move. It makes
That's right.
The music makes you could not stand still. You know?
No, and you played with some great artists. James Chance was really just amazing.
Yeah, well, he was a great influence on me, and we were good buddies too, and in the good ways and the bad ways. But
now you did something with him in 2014, didn't you?
I brought James over to Europe, and we did a Allergy for the U.S.
That's a great name.
How did that
work out?
It was great. I mean, James came and we did it, and I had 7 saxophones.
Wow.
And a rhythm section. I brought Kim Clark over, and Tobias Ralph on drums. And I had Rocco Zeffirelli, who's a guitarist who I got playing with one of the later versions of Defunkt. He also played with Ennio Morricone, and we got that together, and we created, you know, called Allergy for the U.S. You got to look that up. And
now is that a video of that? Any shows you?
There's a video. You got to see the video.
Oh, I got to see it.
It's a video. I mean, maybe I'll send you a link.
I need it. Yes. Well, what I need from you, I want all these links so I could put them up in the description of our interview. This way people can find all your music, all these YouTube links, because I'm sure you got a lot of fans out there.
YouTube, all you got to do is put my name or Defunkt's name in it.
Okay. Right there, right?
You get a ton of stuff. But
that's great.
A few of the main ones, like Allergy for the U.S., you put that in, or my last studio release was called Defunkt Master Vote.
Okay, I'll look that up.
Master Vote, and that was well, of course, it's my favorite. I had some incredible European musicians, bass player Lennon Marthy, who played with Joe Zawinul for the last 5 years. So this was a super band version of Defunkt.
I got to check that out. Now we got about 10 minutes left on Zoom. What about this documentary, In Groove We Trust?
Yes, that was a documentary. Robin Van Irven Dorens was the producer, and he's a Dutch guy, and he produced it, and that was great. I mean, we went all over. We went to the Caribbean to film. We went St. Louis. Robin, you got to see that.
I got to watch that too. That's another one we got to put up. Boy, Joe, you've had an incredible.
I got a version, In Groove We Trust, but
there you go.
Well, if you give me an address, I'll mail you a copy.
I would love that. I would love anything you could.
Or just give me an address. I can mail you a copy of In Groove You Trust, because then you can really see it.
Right.
The whole vibe,
You've had an amazing career. It's a really honor to have you on. I mean,
listen, I'm honored, Dennis. Thank you.
Sure.
But, hey, I just been trying to survive.
That's all we're doing. Just trying to survive here in the U.S. You know, it's a tough time.
It's tough. I know it's tough. You know, well, that's why I had to leave, because if I'm going to survive as an artist, I better go somewhere else.
Because, I agree.
You know,
it is what it is. It's been.
It's what it is, and.
But we're still alive, still kicking, and still playing a little bit. And you've done a great part of music, and you were part of that whole era. That's so exciting.
I was part of that era, like I'm saying, it's not over till it's over.
Keep doing
I try to
music.
bring that spirit to Europe, and like I said, not only the defunct music and the free jazz. I do workshops for kids and elderly people.
Oh, okay.
Teach them djembe. I mean, you can that's something else. I'll send you a link to.
Yeah, send me all the links that you want. I'll put.
Oh, wait a minute. You can go to my www.josephbowie.com.
Okay, everything's up there.
Everything's there. My workshops.
I'll make sure it's up there.
Okay.
I'll make sure.
And if you need something, I'll write it. I'll mail it to you.
And I'll get you my address for some of this music.
Send you the CD. I want to send you that film. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I want to see that. Well, Joe, it's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Dennis. My pleasure, sir.
Stay healthy, and I hope you feel better. And keep the music going. You're an inspiration.
No choice, and you do the same, my man.
All right, you're an inspiration. Take care. Thanks a lot for doing this.